Hello and welcome to In Defence of the Traditional Martial Arts. Had some really sad news yesterday. About this time last night I received a text message informing me that Dan Docherty, the man I've talked quite a bit about in a few of my videos, I even did a whole video reviewing his autobiography, The Wild Colonial Boy, has sadly passed away. He was the head of the Tai Chi style that I studied back in the 90s, and my instinct was to do a video last night, but then I thought to myself, he wasn't, I wasn't his friend, like I wasn't even an inside the door student, and but he did know me by name back in the 90s. I was attended pretty much every monthly seminar that he did in London for about 3 years, and it was a massive influence in my martial arts journey and in my life in general. So I wanted to do something. So I spent last night and most of the day in work thinking about what kind of video I wanted to do, and I came to the conclusion I definitely don't want to do kind of cut and paste sort of thing where I just repeat something I've read online or got from his from one of his books that I own. And like I said, I didn't know him that well, so what I thought I'd do is just basically talk about my memories of the man. And if you want to know more about him, then pick up a copy of that autobiography. It's great place to start. He's got several other books on Tai Chi that are all like real, I wouldn't say easy reads, but they're good reads. If you're into Tai Chi, give them a go. But yeah, so also I'm going to be using a couple of videos I've found on YouTube of Dan. I'm just going to use snippets, but just to give credit, and if anyone wants to watch the whole videos, I'll put links in the description. So yeah, my memories of Dan Docherty.
Philosophy behind Tai Chi is essentially the Taoist philosophy of yin and yang. Change, but not just changing at the appropriate time and in the appropriate way.
So I first came across Dan at, I don't know what they called these events, but it was basically a festival. There was a lot of Chinese martial arts demonstrations going on. There was a few stalls selling things like swords and books, and in the background to all this, people walk around with their kung fu suits, all looking very fierce and mean, and a lot of demonstrations of external kung fu, tiger stuff, mantis. I remember Wing Chun going on. There's this guy in a shirt, tie and blazer who from a distance didn't look very imposing at all, and certainly didn't look like a former Southeast Asian full contact champion. And I kind of got the impression as a 15, 16-year-old that he was just some guy who probably went to the lessons and had been asked to sort of help organising the event. And yeah, the following year, I think it was the same place, same thing going on. There was a lull in the action, and as you'll see in this video, he demonstrated sort of Nigong, which is body conditioning. And from that display went straight into having a student doing the form whilst Dan demonstrated against two of his top students, like the applications of the form. And up until that point, through that whole day, there was a lot of the tiger demonstrations and the mantis and all stuff that I thought, you know, it looked like stuff off old kung fu movies, the sort of things I've been raised on, and that was the stuff I was interested in. And to go from that to this like real, like gritty, sort of violent looking techniques, and again, I thought the form was just kind of, you know, all right, yeah, it looks a bit martial, but there's nothing in here you could actually use in a real street fight. Going from that to thinking, wow, this is what I want to do. So from there, I started going to London classes. Maybe a year later, I want to say, probably a year after that, I started going to the London classes. Just in time, I went to 2 sessions at his former place that he trained. I can't even remember where it was, before he went to the place around the corner from Tower Bridge. And yeah, first session turned up. I don't think he even said anything to me. Second session, there was, at the end of the day, there was like some full contact sparring going on. It really was like full contact, and I was looking at it intently, and because I hadn't done much sparring at that point, and Dan looked over at me and asked if I wanted to have a go, and I'll be honest, I was absolutely petrified, and the fact that I didn't have my gum shield, even though I'm pretty sure the people who were sparring didn't have gum shields in, but my teeth, I'd not long got out of braces, and there was no way I was risking that material. At least that's what I was telling myself. I was probably just too scared to take part, so I declined the offer, and then I think that was the last, certainly the last session I went at this old venue before we moved to the judo place. And yeah, it must have been, I don't know, 2-3 years of going monthly to the, like I said, the place around the corner from the from Tower Bridge, the judo training centre. And yeah, there was one of the few seminars I missed. I'd gotten into a fight back here in Thetford the night before, Saturday night, and I got arrested. I was in trouble with the police, and it was my teacher's turn to drive to London. He come to pick me up, and I said, I can't go, I've got to go back to the police station tonight. And he said, I'm going to have to tell Dan about this. So I thought, I'm in trouble, like, Dan, former Hong Kong policeman. Like, he's not gonna like this. And then I was reliably told later that, like, when my teacher had told him about it, that Dan looked like positively like sort of proud of the fact that I'd basically running thunder punched this like bully of a rugby player's nose and broke it, and yeah, nothing ever came from the incident. I think I opted for a caution. If I knew what I knew about self-defence now, I never would have taken a caution, but yeah, it didn't really go anywhere. Yeah, what other strong memories have I got of Dan? Probably after I competed in a Sanshou fight, 2000 maybe, 2000 I think it was, and I won. And the following seminar that took place after that event, Dan come up to me and was talking to me and my mate Pete, and he said, "You did really well in that fight." And only as people who know Dan will know, you can never give like a total compliment. He's like, it has to be, it's a kind of a backhanded compliment. And he said, I mean, he was a much better martial artist than you, but you still managed to win anyway, so well done. And I always regretted not taking him up on it, because in a way I think he was like pushing to see if I'd argue back, and I honestly think he would have liked the point that I had, that I was never brave enough to say to him, and I always wish I had, because I think he would have liked it. And yeah, that'll never happen now, unfortunately. And the only other story I've got, which really sticks out in my mind, was a time like we turned up, and quite often we do like a form of pushing hands, like where you'd only have like a couple of mats to move on, and there was no one left like to push hands with me, so freestyle pushing hands. So a bit like sumo wrestling, you got to push someone out of an area, and we had the space of 2 mats we were working on. And so Dan like beckoned me over, and it's a bit like your dad choosing you to help you with something. Oh, Dan's gonna push hands with me, and I think it was the first and only time I ever did freestyle pushing hands with him, and he was just throwing me around like he was a dad wrestling with his child, basically, and it got to he was pushing hands with me whilst looking around the rest of the room at these the other students, seeing what they're up to, and I managed to like get round to the side of him, and I placed my hands on his shoulder and his hip, and in my head I'm like, I've got him, and it's like, and he suddenly like drew attention, like, oh, Alan's like doing that, and he just like sort of thrust his backside like out at me. I like flew across the mat. It was like amazing, like, and to me it's like, oh wow, it just made him even more of a hero. Like he can just, like, any part of his body just boom, just hurled me across. It was quite something. And and the funny thing is, I remember, because at the time I lived for martial arts, I lived for Tai Chi, and there's the long form, which sort of takes between about 12 to 20 minutes, depending on how slow you're doing it. And I'd practice that daily, along with all the other things that I did. And I was speaking to a guy who's probably like my age now, but this is back in the 90s, and we were doing like talking about long form, and he was saying, oh, I do love the long form, but I just never get time to practice it. And I looked at him and I was like, well, everyone's got like 20 minutes they can chuck in a day, really. And he looked at me with this like sort of knowing look in his eye, like he didn't correct me, he didn't stick up for himself, he just gave me this look, and I realised like a lot later that look was like, yeah, you'll see. Because as by that point I was probably 18, 19. I was, had nothing else going on in my life. I lived and breathed for training Tai Chi, and what took me away from Dan's class in the end was I had to make a choice between going to his classes and Godfrey Dornley's similar class that he would do. Yeah, they both do him once a month, and Godfrey do his 2 weeks after Dan's. And I had a child, and I had to go on shift to make a bit more money to support us, and I made a choice. I can't go to both of these seminars, it's too much time away from my family, and I chose to keep going to Godfrey's classes, and that was when I stopped going to Dan's seminars. I always thought I'd get back into Tai Chi. Lockdowns really made me like look back at my past. It's really made me appreciate doing like the Tai Chi form again, certainly, and it's just such a shame I'll never be in his presence again. So thanks for watching. I'll say, if you want to know more about Dan, there'll be plenty online. It's probably, people who cover his life and what he was like, outside of the Tai Chi environment. You can read his autobiography. It's a really good lip read. I really enjoyed it. There's more to it than the martial side. There's a whole other world of life before internet and modern technology, and when Hong Kong was still controlled by the British. So yeah, click the links to see the full videos that I've used, and catch you soon.